Never mix politics and religion, we are advised. Is that always sound advice? Is the result always that bad? Well, of course, the result will depend on the religion that you're pouring into the mixing bowl. But before you judge whether it's always a bad idea, you might want to know about one time when politics and religion were mixed thoroughly. It was not just any ordinary religion. It was Christianity, but it was no ordinary Christianity. It was a sect of Christianity with a level of individual liberty not seen in the world for many centuries, and which lost its majority status even in the community which mixed them only a generation or two after the mixing. The year was 1620. The mixing was done in the cabin of this ship, the Mayflower. Not literally this ship, this is the Mayflower II, built in 1957. The ship had just crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Many of the signers within a few months would die of cold, hunger, and disease while living on this ship, waiting for cabins to be built on land by men rowing the small boat alongside the ship 1.5 miles to land every morning to go to work. I came to Plymouth, Massachusetts to learn more about the birth of what we in America today call freedom. In this town, one finds the world's experts on exactly what happened in the Mayflower cabin that cold December day. The Pilgrims signed a document which we call the Mayflower Compact. Exactly how significant was this compact?
That was a totally new idea, really, for the English, but it was a very bold step for them to declare. And so the men signed their names to it and signed with their sworn honor. You know, that's part of that signing of the compact.
And one of the things you've been recently teaching about is the Mayflower Compact. Tell us about it. What is it significant? Is there anything different, unique about that?
Most of us believe, and I believe very strongly, that it is the foundation stone of our Constitution. I feel it was the beginning of democracy in our country.
Okay, and tell me about the Mayflower Compact. What was different about it?
What was different about it was that they were setting up their own laws and they were choosing their own leaders. Now that didn't happen in England. And it would have been considered high treason to have done something like that. This was very new, very radical. It was a very different way to have a church as well as a state.
The Mayflower Compact, what did it do that no previous document had done?
It's the first written document for self-government in the New World. That's a basis for our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and many states' constitutions, and it was people banding together to form a government. One vote, one person, and really framed our American lifestyle.
Glenn Shaney, the author of this book.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Des Moines.
Tell me what you know about the significance of that Mayflower Compact.
The Mayflower Compact was a very interesting document. It's been called the precursor of the United States Constitution, but that really isn't true.
What do you mean? I want it to be true. I want the Mayflower Compact to be the seed that grew into the Constitution. Who is this guy to mess with what I want? Maybe I should let him explain.
It wasn't specific about how they would govern themselves. It simply said that they would obey the king, and they would, in some unstated way, they would work together to decide what had to be decided. In other words, the king couldn't come in and say, okay, build a school there, collect some taxes for that. They just decided that they would reach agreements. There was nothing about mayors or any kind of government structure. Everyone agreed that they were going to stick together, they were going to honor their debts, and they were going to still continue to be subjects of the king. Interestingly enough, in that they were actually fleeing this king, but they did agree that they were still going to be servants, or not servant, what's the word? Subjects of the king. What's interesting is that they made a decision to be subjects of the king. That may be the most significant part about the compact. People in England didn't decide to be subjects. They were subjects of the king, period. And if they weren't, then they would get bloody well hanged. And these people actually agreed and made a decision to obey the king, which is significant. These people they thought for themselves. That's really why they were all the separatists, the religious contingent on the boat. They couldn't stand to be told what to do by the hierarchy of the Church of England. They wanted to make their own decisions.
You just heard Glenn Jenney say the Mayflower Compact was not truly a precursor of the Constitution because it contained no details of government structure. Right after you heard Ken Callison say it was the basis of our Constitution. But let's listen to Callison's statement again. He doesn't exactly say it is the Mayflower Compact itself which is the basis for our Constitution. Listen to what he says is the basis.
It's the first written document for self-government in the New World. That's the basis for our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and many states' constitutions, and it was people banding together to form a government. One vote, one person, and really framed our American lifestyle.
Self-government is the basis of our Constitution. Not that the details of our Constitution are foreseen in that simple 200-word document, but that simple document enshrined self-government, without which we would never have had the Declaration of Independence or a Constitution or the freedoms we enjoy today. Self-government does not impose itself upon anyone who had no say in it. Self-government gives every person not only a say, but an equal say. One man, one vote. No single man, no group of men have any more power than anyone else, except to the extent that some are too apathetic to cast their vote or to cast it intelligently.
And that's another thing the Pilgrims did. They set up the kind of a town that was governed ultimately by the people. And their vote is what counted on whatever issue it happened to be. And they still operate the same way. There's a town meeting held in Plymouth. And there are town meetings held in many towns in New England still.
There's a huge difference, isn't there, in the level of democracy enjoyed by the Pilgrims as opposed to enjoyed by the commoners back in England?
No. It's not uncommon for that people elect their local leaders.
So you don't think the Mayflower Compact was a huge milestone in our freedom?
I can speak only for myself. I can't speak for the museum.
How did he get in here?